I know where you've been all my life. You've been in Siberia, for crying out loud.
True. That's true.
I'm so glad you decided to get away from there and come over to this side of the pond.
Yeah, there's less bears here.
Yeah, I bet. So here we are with David Bradley on WSCY 106.9 FM. Joyce Danas here on a new morning. David Bradley, new hit country at its finest with your new single, Hard Time Movin On. Thanks for joining in today.
Good morning, Joyce. How are you?
I'll tell you, I'm thrilled and excited to have you on board a new morning, first of all.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, after you responded to my Facebook message, and we decided that we wanted to chat about your single and your album, I went about looking up some information on you. I went to David.
No.
Yeah. Although I didn't speak to anybody personally, let's let me clarify that. What I did was I went to davidbradleymusic.com.
Right.
And found out about your life. And one of the things that has struck me so much about you, David, is that there are a lot of people who've come to Nashville from different places and from different avenues of their lives, but I've never, ever heard of anybody coming to Nashville via Siberia. That really caught my attention immediately.
Well, everybody picks on Siberia, but it's not the worst place I've ever worked, that's for sure.
Oh, really? What would you say the worst place you've ever worked was?
Oh, wow. Lagos, Nigeria, I think.
Why? Why was Lagos any worse than Siberia?
Everybody had guns.
Oh, no!
Yeah, out in Siberia, really, there was only bears and us, and we didn't carry guns, and I'm pretty sure the bears weren't packing any heat. We were fairly safe.
So that was in a whole different lifetime for you.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Yeah, you started off following your dad's footsteps. You were an oil rigger, an oil engineer.
That's right, yeah.
And you traveled the world just like your dad did. And one of the things that your father did for you, besides giving you a career as an oil engineer, was give you a love of American country music.
He did. He worked for Amoco, an American oil company out in Saudi Arabia when I was just a boy. And he'd come home with cassettes of Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson. And so I guess I was always kind of, that sound was always around when I was growing up. So, yeah.
So
I got my dad to thank.
So you have Dad to thank for a lot of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got you in Siberia right now, okay? Now, you're working on music in Siberia, and from what I could gather from the website, it was pretty much to keep you and your mates occupied while you're in Siberia.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, wherever I was working around the world, as long as it wasn't on an oil rig somewhere, I'd make music. Either in a little, we put bands together and make music for the guys on the camp, or in Siberia, I met some Russian jazz musicians, and we raised money for local charities out in Russia, and actually ended up recording an album on there.
Now, was that the album that you remixed at Abbey Road Studios?
It is, yeah. Yeah, I took it into Abbey Road, and the guy in there really said it's a real American-sounding album, so I guess all of that influence of my dad bringing the music home really worked its way into my music and into that album, and he said, you need to get this to somebody in America. I said, I don't know anybody in America. But I found the lady who's now my manager, and she set me off on this roller coaster ride here. It's wonderful.
Wow. So that's how things got underway for you in the States. Now, when you decided you wanted to put down some roots in Nashville, how did you hook up with the folks that you're working with now, in particular Brady Seals, ex-Little Texas member who is helping you produce?
Yeah, Brady was working with a promotions company in Nashville doing like artist development work. And I met him. All roads lead through my manager, so she'd set up an appointment through a friend of hers with Brady. I had no comprehension, really, as to how big Little Texas were back in the day. So we just met for coffee, hung out, became friends, started writing together, and when I was putting the project, this new album together, he was the likely candidate for producing it, and I think he did a great job, and we toured all last year. Brady had his own album out, so we toured all last year with his album and mine. I opened up for him. He's just a great guy.
Well, that worked out well, didn't it?
It did, and he was the link to Rodney Crowell on the new single. Brady really has been my mentor in Nashville, and Rodney Crowell was his mentor when he first moved to town.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's how it all came together.
Right. You see, you're finding all of this out first.
Ah. Well, it's also unique that you were able not only to tour with Brady, but you worked with him in the studio. Yeah. And once you had that camaraderie and you got along so well, it was just a natural progression. You go out on the road, and that was an avenue for you to meet a whole bunch of other songwriters and singers and musicians. And,
absolutely.
And one of the people that really struck your fancy when you were at one of those artist rounds, I think it was, is what you called it, was Rutherford.
Yeah, Rivers has been a huge influence on my writing. He was the first writer's night I ever saw. Even before I moved to Nashville, my manager and I went to Nashville just to check it out, and we went to a writer's night, and Rivers was playing. That was the first night I ever saw a writer's night.
Really?
Yeah, and he played all of his big hits. You know, When I Get Where I'm Going, Real Good Man, all of the huge hits that he's got. I mean, if you check the writer's credits on most of the things that are out there, on the big hits that are on the radio, he's got a pen in most of them, you know.
Yeah, it's funny because he wrote one of my all-time favorite Gary Allan songs, Smoke Rings in the Dark. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. Yeah, love it. And did you actually get to sit down and speak with Rivers? Have you worked with him personally?
Yes, I have. Yeah, we actually... we were in. He was playing the Bluebird, the legendary Bluebird Cafe. A little while back, I was backing off the road, so I went to go and check him out, and I'd already forwarded him a copy of Hard Time Moving On, and he loved it. So we got together and sang it in the Bluebird. So.
Oh, really?
We had a moment, a little moment of romance right there, Rutherford and I.
Yes, yeah, there's nothing like being able to sit down and actually sing it with the songwriter himself, huh?
Oh, it was an incredible moment for me, for sure. Maybe not for him, but it was for me.
Oh, you never know. I'll tell you, things are really moving on for Hard Time Moving On.
Yeah, they are.
I noted that Dial Global, who is a well-known satellite service that provides a country format to a lot of radio stations across the country, has added it to their playlist.
That's right. That was a huge thing for us.
Yes. Well, it has such a beautiful, rich sound to it that you can't help being moved by it.
Well, thank you. I think the thing that drew me to the song, we've all gone through that. We've all gone through breakups in our life. The thing that drew me was that there's no anger in that song. There is no, I hate you. It's a phone call by a guy back to his girl saying, I know you've got somebody else. I know you've moved on. And I just wanted to talk to you. I just wanted to hear your voice and say hello and tell you that I'm having a hard time with it.
Exactly.
It's no more anger in it than that, and that for me is the real beauty of the song.
And it's real because it's the kind of thing that has really happened to people in their lives, like you said. Mm-hmm. And it's something we can all relate to in one form or another. We've all had a hard time moving on from one relationship or another, and that's why it really hit home with me too. I mean, I've experienced that in my life. I'm a married woman now, but I know how it feels to let go. That's right. We all grow up and we all go through that at one stage or another, and we all have different feelings. But I think we all, if we don't, we should aspire to try and get over things without carrying that anger and angst with it. Not always easy, but. No. You really get that point across in the song. Well, thanks. Now, I was listening to the clips of some of the other tunes on Moving On, mm-hmm. and I wanted to touch on your duet with Emily West, if we could. Yeah. Someday We'll Get It Right. Yeah, it's the song I wrote with John Wiggins, who wrote Tequila Makes the Clothes Fall Off. Oh. And, he has the Blake Shelton number one, Who Are You and I'm Not Looking. He wrote that. Oh, really? And we write for the same publishing company, and John's been a real influence on my writing, and it was the second, if I'm not mistaken, the second song that we wrote together, I guess a couple of years ago. And again, it's a kind of another breakup-y kind of thing. There's a theme here, Joyce. Yes. You feel it, right? Well, I have a feeling that you've had your share of heartbreak in your life. That's why you gravitate to music like this. Is that true? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, working away from home, it's hard to hold down a relationship like that. It's always going to be long distance, and so yeah, I've gone through it. And funnily enough, I was the day I recorded Hard Time, and Emily came in and sang the duet. We were both going through it. Really? Yeah.
So the emotion was pouring out that day.
I can feel it. I can actually hear it in your voices on that song. I think that should be the next single. That's just my humble opinion. Okay.
I'll throw that into the pile for sure.
I don't know if anybody agrees with that, but I'll tell you, duet songs are really big these days. Look what happened to Jason Aldean and Kelly Clarkson.
Absolutely, yeah.
So there you go. And, a little bit of angst thrown in. People can certainly relate to that pain and heartbreak of knowing you really get along with one person there, but there's always something that seems to pull you apart.
Yeah.
But that's life.
That's right. There's so many people, even if you're not one of them, there's so many people that are around us all that that break up with somebody, get back together, break up, get back together, break up, get back together. And from the outside, you're looking in going, why do they keep doing that to each other?
Yeah. I think the reason they keep doing it to each other is because they really love each other.
They do, and they hope, we're all hopeful people, I guess, and they hope someday they'll get it right. I guess that's the whole idea of the song.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there's different kinds of love, David.
That's right.
And there's a lot of different kinds of love between a man and a woman and right down the line. And, sometimes you just can't get it right due to the circumstances and the place you are in your own life. That's just how it goes.
That's right.
Just out of curiosity, have you ever been married?
No, I haven't, no.
Really?
I've never been in one place long enough.
Well, now you've set down roots in Nashville. Who knows?
I have, yeah, that's home, really. I hope this is going to be my home for a long time.
Well, I think you have a really good shot at that.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yes, absolutely.